Welcome back, students. Today, in this episode, we are going to go over storing information and different values that you can use for mini games or tracking things. This is more of a technical aspect of Redstone, and although it might not be as useful, it can be interesting if used correctly. First, we'll start with a counter circuit. So all this does is it basically quote-unquote counts all the interactions it has with something. It's like presses of a button, things that land on a pressure plate. It could be basically anything. Number of points you scored, whatever. So let me reset it. So what this does is when I score a point, it has all these observers, a huge observer chain, running down all of these just droppers. Now, because of quasi activity, they actually are powering the droppers. Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of weird, but they are. So what happens is it starts here, and it just goes down the line of droppers until it reaches this one. And once it reaches the one that's full, this will shift the item over one, which then will power this lamp. Now, problem with having this run in the opposite direction is the fact that I would take the item and shoot it in all the droppers all the way to the end, basically defeating the purpose of the machine. Now, say you don't want the ticker just to be one light open. You want all the lights behind it being activated. Okay? What you do is you grab a stack of something, and then you just put this into the first dropper. Now, depending on how many droppers there are, that's how many items you put in. Because once it fills up, you need to know that's filled up. So, when I press this button, it will shoot one of the items up here. Then it'll fill that lamp up. And then, if I keep doing this, it'll fill up like a progress bar, as you can tell. Because what it's doing is it's just shifting all those blocks over by one and then adding a new one from the stack. And it just keeps doing that. And then when you reset it all, there's a hopper chain underneath all these droppers. And when I reset it, I unlock all the hoppers so they all suck the items out and put them back into the original dropper. So that's how you make a counter circuit. Alright, now we move on to piston feed tapes. Basically what a piston feed tape is pistons cycling a bunch of blocks around. So, let me demonstrate. I click this, and then it just shifts all the blocks around one. And then I click it again, and it just keeps doing it. And this is useful for storing data in each of these blocks. So, say we have these transparent blocks and this cauldron. When this cauldron ends up right here, it'll activate this, which can activate some other circuit. And what we have here is basically a color combination lock. Because here we have all these colors and they're all linked up to glass, and one color is linked up to this cauldron. So when the cauldron comes around, it will be basically quote unquote unlocked. Now normally you'd have more than one of these because this is very unsecure. The way this works is it sends a pulse through here, activating these back pistons here. And these move the blocks in this direction, so we'll call it Z, in Z direction. So we'll shift it this way. And then these two pistons on the sides will shift all the blocks in the X direction, so this way, side to side. So, we can watch. As you can tell, this pushed this in, and then this pushed it this way. And at the same time, because if it wasn't, it would break the entire contraption, this pushes that here, and then it pushes this forward. And then that pushes all this forward, and then this block is ready to be pushed back, and it just cycles around. So, eventually we will reach purple, there we go, and now it will be activated. And like I said before, you can stack these, you can add a bunch. And I remember one useful of these is actually a 7-segment display, which I'll show you in a little bit. Next we move on to a timer. So what this is basically a countdown timer. Now it has these lamps here, so basically an info display, and all it consists of really is 2 hoppers, torch, redstone, and a comparator. Now what it does is right now it's in the off position. So all the stuff has built up here, and this is locked, so it cannot push any items into this one. So it's just going to sit here. But once we turn it off, we lock this one but unlock this one. So it's going to shove items in here and they're going to get stuck. And as it puts items in there, this will count down. Now what you can do is you can add more items to add more lamps, or vice versa, because then when you have more items it'll take longer. So this is very useful in like mini games. Alright, now it's off. You can tell that all the items are back in here, and then to reset it you just have to flick this lever and then it'll count back up. So you can have it count up if you want to. Finally, we have another circuit that involves items being shifted around. So this circuit, this is a bit more interesting because it involves droppers and hoppers and a big mess. So basically what this does is it takes the redstone signal from this hopper right here, and then each signal strength converts to 1 lamp. So right now it has a signal strength of 3, and when it does, this lamp will turn on. Now if I activate it again, it'll have a signal strength of 6, and it'll go to the second lamp. And then it just keeps doing that. And this will have 9, and then it moves up to the third, all the way to the 5th. And then once it's at the 5th, it's just stuck there. Now this is very useful for counting things. That was useful too, but this has other applications for counting things. And you can also have like another dropper here, and you can have it count to 9 or something like that. Or this can tell you how full something is. So that's basically what it does. And then in order to reset it, it just fills this back up. Now this and that have their different uses, but they basically accomplish the same thing. They both can count. Now the nice thing about this one is the fact that you can take the signal and send it somewhere. While this, it's much harder to take that signal and send it somewhere because all it is a bunch of droppers and some lamps. That's what this is best for. This, normally you don't use lamps for, you use something else. Like, if you remember from the field trip episode, my storage system needed to use this in order to decide which bay to take the information from. Alright, we're back in the lab to review one more thing. So, once you build all that stuff out there in your own world, and then you realize, oh wait, I need to build it like closer to the thing I need it for, and like I don't want to build it again, or you're like, I don't have enough room for it over there. Well, we have a solution for you. In order to keep the same signal from here and take it hundreds of blocks, we use this easy line. All it is comparator redstone block, comparator dust block, and what this does is it keeps that signal the same throughout. So let me explain. This has a signal strength of 4. This powers a block with a signal strength of 4. This can detect that it's being powered, and then it outputs that same signal strength. Because remember, comparators, they can measure resonance signal strength and output the same thing. So we can transport this hundreds of blocks with some delay, but not much. So here, switch this to 1. You can tell 1 lamp is on. Or we could switch it to 6. And now 6 lamps are on. And for the delay, oops, it's not that much. Now another way to do it, if you want to be different, you can put comparator block redstone, comparator block dust. Either way works. Both both ways are fine. Like right here, and then you can also just put comparator block, or comparator dust. Whatever floats your boat. We're now in my Redstone testing world to show you this. Now this doesn't look too complicated. It just looks like a bunch of lamps that are on. But actually what it is it's a 7-segment display. Now you might be like, what the heck is that? And it's actually something that these things are all around you. They are basically the displays of digital clocks. They are 7 different segments that can make all the numbers. And they can also make a few letters too. So, let me demonstrate what it does. So, right now it's at 0. Press this button. 1. Press it again, and all it does is it counts. Now, it doesn't look too hard on the surface. When I go behind here, there's some work put into this. And the brain of this contraption is a piston feed-tape. Now, what it does is each feed-tape corresponds to one of these 7 segments. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now when I press this button, all of them get shifted around, and the segments that are supposed to be on have cauldrons that are filled with water, which then go to power these segments right here. And when I press it again, the cauldrons for 4 show up, and so on, and it just cycles around and around. What you can do with this is you can make it like a scoreboard or something like that, and then you can stack these so you can have, it can be 2 digits, and when this goes to 0 or goes 9-0, the next digit turns, and you can do a lot with this. Now, what I want you to do for extra credit is you can go on YouTube, you can try to copy this design if you want, and I want you to basically find one of these 7-segment displays or something else that uses feed tapes. I want you to build it, and for example this, I want you to customize it. Instead of using numbers, make it show letters, or make it show both. So you can figure out and understand what all this does. And if you're feeling up to it, try to build your own. Because I know I used to build a lot of these, and then just recently I figured out that I can use observers to make this so much more compact. So it went from a 2-hour job to a 30-minute process. And the hardest part was actually this here. So now we're at 8, then we go to 9, and then back to 0. And then you would have another one that would switch to 1, and then so on. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it very informative. These contraptions that we are learning about now are a bit more complex than the ones in the first episodes. So it might take a little bit longer for you to get used to these and understand them. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you know when the next episode of Wrestling University or other things come out. So I hope you enjoyed, and class is dismissed.